Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamerspro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. As you guys know, yesterday we got some pretty devastating news out of the NBA surrounding Kawhi Leonard, where we got the information that he was going to be out for the Clippers indefinitely. It was a surprise to a lot of people, given the fact that some of us felt that he had already been making progress towards this new season. We had heard that there was a possibility of him not starting for the season or playing the first two games, but none of us thought that he would be out indefinitely. But essentially, that was the information that came out, and it was reported by Shams and many other people yesterday throughout the sports world. Various people reacted to it. You had people like Kendrick Perkins reacting to it, saying that he believes that Kawhi should possibly consider retiring. Other people felt other ways about it. But the group of people that we didn't get a chance to hear from was the Clippers brass. We didn't hear from anyone within the organization. We just heard the reporting around it. As a matter of fact, we ended up doing a live yesterday reacting to that story. So what happened this morning, I woke up and a video was referred to me on the internet. I watch Clippers content. I watch a lot of Clippers content, so it's no surprise there. But essentially, it was Ty Lue during an interview with reporters. I believe it was prior to tip-off for last night's game, a game in which they won. Somehow he's been able to coach his team, and his coaching staff coached his team to some pretty impressive victories, given the fact they didn't really have any all-stars in some of those games. James Harden is not playing. But nevertheless, they've been able to extract some wins from the preseason. So we got a chance to actually hear from Ty Lue when some reporters asked him directly about the word that it came out that Kawhi Leonard was going to be out indefinitely. And a lot of Kawhi Leonard fans, I'm sure, were very, very interested to hear in fact that, look, this guy's going to be gone. Like, we don't know when he's going to be coming back. And Ty Lue gave some pretty interesting insight for those of the people who are probably interested in knowing the real status of Kawhi Leonard. So what we want to do now is we're going to play some of what Ty Lue had to say to the reporters, and then we're going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to what Ty Lue had to say here.
So we obviously saw the Kawhi news today that he's going to be out indefinitely. I just wanted to ask, when we were talking to Lawrence in Vegas, and he expressed a level of disappointment that Kawhi was not going to be given the opportunity to kind of ramp up and have an opportunity to compete in the Olympics. What transpired between then and now to where you guys felt a level of optimism that he was going to be able to potentially contribute in Paris, to where now he's not ready for the start of the season?
Yeah, I mean, he felt good. He looked good. The swelling was down. Everything was going in the right direction. So he had worked hard to get to that point. And then, once you start playing, you never know what's going to happen, But he was in position, we thought, in the right position to go forward. And like I said, it was just a setback. So that was unfortunate.
So there was a setback between then and now?
No, well, because he didn't, I'm saying after the USA trials, yeah, it was. We continue to ramp up, continue to play, continue to work out.
Ty, on that note, is there any feedback from medical staff when he can at least do some on-court work with the team during practice?
Not yet. I mean, he's feeling good. He's progressing. He's going in the right direction, doing all the right things. So soon he will be on the court, but not yet.
Ty, what are the chances that he doesn't play this season?
The chances of what?
What are the chances that Kawhi might not play this season?
I don't see those chances. But I'm not a doctor either, but I don't see those chances.
Is there a timeline you guys have in place that you think he may come back?
Yeah, no timeline. Like we said from day one, like it's going to take some time. He's going to progress. He's doing all the right things. He's working hard and he's looking good, And so there's no timetable or nothing like that. Nothing has changed from day one. Still working to get to where we're trying to get him to. And so until he's 100% and he's able to go, and we have no concerns about him doing anything different, then we're just going to continue to follow the path we've been on so far.
So it has to be 100% for him to come back.
Yes.
So you heard Ty Lue's comments. The one thing he said that he doesn't see any scenario in which Kawhi Leonard doesn't return this season at all. So that means that there's a timeline horizon for him to come back this season. So that's the first thing. And I think most people feel that Kawhi is going to come back this season. Based on some of the information that I heard late last night, listening to Shams on ESPN, essentially what he said the Clippers are doing is the following. The reason the Clippers have decided that his return timeline is indefinite is because they don't want a situation in which he returns and he's playing on an on and off basis. They wanted that when Kawhi returns to the court, he's playing at 100%, that there are no stoppages. Because I think the organization has grown tired, and I'm sure Kawhi Leonard has grown tired of this fact that he plays a set amount of games and all of a sudden he gets injured and he can't come back. I think they want some consistency. So it seems to me that maybe their medical team or whomever is in charge of Kawhi Leonard are probably coming up with a game plan for how they're going to attack this issue to ensure that there's no regression, because this seems to be a chronic issue at this point, or at least something Kawhi Leonard has been dealing with since the playoffs. This swelling in the knee or whatever the case is specifically is something that he's been dealing with since the playoffs. All throughout the offseason, into the Summer Olympics, the Paris Olympics, and now into training camp. So it seems like, based on the information that I have, number one, Kawhi is going to return. That's number one. But number two, he's only going to return when they've come up with a definite game plan that will ensure that he remains healthy and plays for the rest of his career. Now, even if he does return and they feel like they've, dotted their I's and crossed their T's, that everything is 100% sound, there is still a possibility that things can go wrong. That's because of Kawhi Leonard's injury history. So there's always that aspect of the situation. Now, what does this mean for the Clippers moving forward this season? What are their chances actually as it pertains to not having Kawhi Leonard? Look, based on what I've seen, this seems to be a well-rounded ball club. I feel like they're going to be competitive enough to win games, and I think that Ty Lue, Jeff Van Gundy, and the coaching staff, plus James Harden and some of the veterans that they have with Terrence Mann, Ivica Zubac, and others, I think that they're going to be able to find a way to stay above 500. And I think that they're going to be in the play-in picture for a large amount of the season, or at least for the time that Kawhi Leonard is not going to be there. And I do think that if they're able to hover around that play-in tournament playoff picture, then I think that they have a chance to at least make the playoffs if they're able to get a healthy Kawhi. Because if Kawhi Leonard is healthy, I don't think we're having this conversation at all. Yesterday, I was watching a pretty heated segment on Gil's Arena when they were arguing about the top 10 players according to ESPN's ranking. And Brandon Jennings was like, Kawhi Leonard would be in the top 10 just because of his injury history. That's the only reason Kawhi's not here. If Kawhi was not injured, he would be in the top 10. He was like, he just made second NBA all-second team. So how do you make all NBA second team last year, but you're not a top 10 player? Interesting point. I mean, LeBron made the third team, and he's in the top 10. So how the hell would Kawhi Leonard make the second team, and he doesn't make it into the top 10? That's an interesting argument. But the point Brandon Jennings is making is that he's a difference maker when he's on the floor. The question just comes down to whether or not he's going to be on the floor. Now, if he's on the floor and he's healthy, I think they have a chance. Are they going to be a title contender? I'm not sure of it. Are they going to be a top 4 seed in the West? Absolutely not. But I think they'll be a playoff team. But obviously, we all have to wait and see how this thing ultimately plays out. So, as you guys know, the Lakers have been dominated by 3 headlines. LeBron James and what's going on with him, them acquiring Bronny James, which has been like an entire firestorm, like everyone is talking about that. And then to a lesser extent, them deciding to hire head coach JJ Redick. We spent a good amount of the draft talking about them getting Bronny and all of that. But in the midst of all of this, we forgot that the Lakers actually drafted a pretty good player. And that player's name is Dalton Connect, who's a three-point specialist, but also seems to have the ability to put the ball on the floor and make plays for himself and others. So throughout this preseason, we spent time talking about Bronny and his negative plus-minus. And by the way, Bronny actually had a positive game over talk about his plus-minus yesterday in a game that they played against, the Phoenix Suns. And it was also a game in which LeBron James himself opted not to play, and JJ Redick came up with a pretty hilarious reason as to why he didn't play in that game yesterday. But going into that game, the Lakers did have some of their other horses available for them, and one of them in specifically was Anthony Davis. Now, what's interesting about Anthony Davis's performance yesterday in the game against Phoenix, albeit it was a preseason game. Before the game started, ESPN had actually published its top 100 players list yesterday. And Anthony Davis did not make the top 10. I think they had him somewhere at 11 or something like that. And we actually put up our poll asking our audience, do they agree with ESPN omitting Anthony Davis from the top 10, or rather saying that LeBron is better than Anthony Davis? And a lot of people are like, no, Anthony Davis is the best player on the Lakers. And yesterday he showed that once again with his stat line. In 34 minutes actually, he scored 35 points on 50% shooting from the field, 44% shooting from three. He only made 37% of his free throws, but he did finish the game with 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. Anthony Davis was on beast mode time. Beast mode time. So what happened? Every morning when I usually wake up, I get alerts and messages on Instagram from the NBA accounts that I follow. And usually whenever the Lakers play, they're always going to either promote LeBron James or Bronny James. But to my surprise, the person I saw plastered all over the internet this morning was Dalton Connect, because apparently he had a beast mode game. So let's get into the stat line. Obviously, if you saw the highlights of the game, you know he put on a performance, helping to tie the game and send it to overtime with a 3-point shot that he hit, which was pretty incredible. And in overtime, he kept the ball rolling quite literally. So in that game, Dalton Connect, let me pull up his his stats here. He finished the game, get this, with a game high tied with Anthony Davis, where he scored 35 points, a rookie. Off the bench, he scored 35 points on 55% shooting from the field. He shot 61.5% from the three-point line while hitting 8 out of 15 three-point attempts. He shot 87.5% from the free throw line. And by the way, he also chipped in 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and only two turnovers in the game. And he was absolutely sensational. And I think that all of the attention that he received from the media was 100% warranted. I think, look, this is what I think. I think if the media actually promoted things like this, especially as it pertains to the Lakers, people would take the Lakers more seriously. Because I see nothing wrong with the promotion that they did yesterday. Because they're promoting a player that's a rookie that played exceptionally well for them. They're also promoting him in a W, meaning they were able to win the game, so there's some actual substance to all of the hollering that they normally do. And to me, they're actually focusing on a player that seems to be good, rather than constantly bombarding us with Bronny James posts when he has games where he scores 0 points or 2 points. But speaking of Bronny, I mentioned his stat line. I want to get into his stat line. So yesterday, in 17 minutes for the Lakers, he scored 4 points on 50% shooting, by far his best shooting game of the preseason. He didn't make any threes. I think the coaching staff told him to stop attempting threes because he didn't attempt any threes. He shot 0% from the free throw line, but he was fouled on the shot where KD tried to block his shot, which was pretty funny. And then he finished the game with 2 rebounds, which were 2 offensive rebounds, which showed his activity. For you to get 2 offensive rebounds in that game, he's only 2 off of Jackson Hayes, and everybody else had 2 offensive rebounds, including Anthony Davis, who's their best rebounder. So that was a good sign for him. And he finished the game with 4 points with a plus-minus of 17, which was the highest in the game. But obviously, he attempted the least amount of shots, so he didn't attempt that many shots. And he didn't play that many minutes. But overall, he had a positive game. But what I also enjoyed was the fact that they didn't plaster that all over the internet. I've seen some Instagram accounts where Bronny, I think, scored 2 points in the game, and an Instagram account actually wrote, Bronny is a problem. Like, meaning like he's this dude ain't nothing to joke with in a game where he scored 2 points. Like, accounts like that, we can't take you seriously. Like, we cannot take you seriously. But when you have occasions like this where Bronny goes out there, does his job, scores 4 points, but you have the rookie that they picked ahead of him, higher in the draft, he goes out there and has a monster game. I believe these are the players that the Lakers should promote. I believe these are the players that the media should promote. because it shows their seriousness. And I think if the Lakers continue to promote guys like this, then they can start winning some fans back over, because they're showing that they're an organization is based on substance. Them promoting Bronny up and down the arena all over the internet, I don't think anybody takes the Lakers seriously. But look, I think the Lakers may have found something in Dalton Connect. And look, you got to give the Lakers some credit for even drafting him. You got to give Rob Pelinka some credit for going out there and getting a player like this. Of course, new head coach for the Lakers, JJ Redick, may have been a part of that process. I'm 100% sure it was a collaborative process for them going out there and getting him. So look, I think the Lakers seem to be moving in the right direction. I like Dalton Connect as a player, and I think he should be the one that should be getting more of the hype and praise, although we understand the reality of the world. His last name is not James, quite literally. So obviously he's not going to get all that praise. But nevertheless, it was good to see a break from all of the craziness that they normally post and actually post something of substance.